Hamza Al-Mustapha is a former Nigerian Army major and intelligence officer who served as chief security officer to General Sani Abacha, who was Nigeria's military head of state from 1993 until his sudden death on June 8, 1998. Major Al-Mustapha, who clinched the presidential ticket of the Action Alliance for the forthcoming election, speaks tonight about his political ideology, his past with late Abacha, and how his experiences have prepared him, and his worries about fellow candidates reportedly jumping the gun on campaigns.
Good evening, Major. Thanks for coming on Talk Talk.
It's my pleasure.
All right, before we go into your plans for the country in broader terms, let's talk a little bit about your own history. We know about your time, spent in jail and all that before you finally regained freedom. So some persons wonder, how did that affect you now that you are running for the highest office in the land? In what ways did it shape this journey?
It has its own tremendous positive energy in me, and not only in me, it is a school for the country. There was not, to the best of the presentations as it is in the holdings of the military, that one person was subjected to persecution with sponsored propaganda and then torture. On the other hand, somebody who, right even before his arrest, was already tagged a dead man, and then it lasted for 15 years. I don't think there's any that has had that. But right from the beginning, some of us, including what fetched the problems between me and some certain personalities in Nigeria, is simply because we possess and have a non-compromising posture away from the oath of office we take. I refuse to do so. I will not do so today. I will never do so forever. And to those who did it, they knew what they did. That's why they had a writing team. Newspapers were writing something every day on me, magazines on weekly basis, and they were paid for. And then it was totally contradictory to who we are, our personalities, and then even in line with our records in the Army today. At one particular time, performance evaluation report in the Army, I was in numerous years within the first 4 in this country, because from the records that speaks for itself. On numerous occasions, we were nominated for our national award. There was a time also some 4 countries were to give us national awards, 4 countries in Africa, but then I couldn't have that. So to some of them, our uncompromising posture was what brought about the hatred. And then at the end of the day, all that was meted to us, that is too big to mention. But then their belief is that a soul cannot come out of that. God did allowed us to have been. And when we came, not only that, we forgive them and continue to forge ahead. So we have no business looking backward, but we have every business to think about Nigeria, Nigeria's welfare, security, and well-being. That is what we have. That is the way we were. That's the way we are. So looking at that, some certain group of friends from north and south believe that we can make the difference, because we are looking at Nigeria from a total different angle, and that's why we are here. Haven't joined a political party called Action Alliance. We are here to make the difference, and we are sure of ourselves, and we are sure of what we are saying. We are sure of what we are going to do. There will be total demarcation of the leadership that was provided yesterday, and the leadership that we shall provide, God willing, if given the opportunity.
All right, that's fair. You mentioned something you've said before, that you've forgiven the persons you mentioned who did this. But now that you are running for the highest office in the land, there might be some trepidation that when you get there, then you might begin to settle the scores.
No, we are not that type of people. If from the time I regained my freedom in 2013 till this moment, I was the type that was ready to fight, or I'm not the forgiven type, I would have done it. And I would have done it legally, I would have done it morally, by presenting what they did. Even the books I am writing is simply to educate the younger ones, so that never again in Nigeria shall there be a space for persecution or persecutors to enjoy. That's all, nothing more. What is gone is gone. What they did out of whatever shallow-mindedness that informed them to do that. If God say I'm not to die, I'm not to die. If the whole world gather together to fight me and it is not my time, it is not my time. If it is my time, if the whole world gather together to say, no, it is not his time, he should stay, no force can stop it. That's the type of faith I am having. Besides, those who subjected me to persecution are people I have known for many years. I have seen them in peacetime, I have seen them in crisis time, I have seen them when they are in lofty towers, and I know what they can do, and I know what makes their characters.
All right, that's fair. Still on the issue of the past, how do you think your relationship, your close relationship with the late General Sani Abacha will affect your chances? Because we have on one hand the issues of recovered loot, but on the other hand, some persons try to say that this was one of the heads of states who was doing well. So in the public space, how do you think it affects your drive now to be president?
That will not affect me because I am I, and I have been evaluated by numerous bodies. While I was in prison even, there were international bodies that came and investigated me to see whether I had foreign accounts or domestic accounts or I keep money wherever around the whole world. And I thank God they did that. Fingerprints to my eyes and then to total connections across to the major banks around the world. And I thank God for the clean bill report that I received because they were desperate to say any person or persons who have had information against me, they should step forward, and many did. At the end of the day, there was nothing. And they asked me, how come you don't have money? I said, I didn't come to government to steal. It is an opportunity if you see yourself serving the country at that highest level. The only thing you can do is to thank God Almighty and then exemplify creativity, innovations, and make the difference in creating new innovations to the office so that the service in itself can learn therefrom from the new discoveries in service rendition. That we did and nothing more. There's every pride and every cause to thank God Almighty for being picked one out of many thousands to say you are the one to handle such a sensitive responsibility. Remember, if you are a commissioned officer, yours is oath of allegiance, oath of commission, and oath of office. And we rendered the two exemplarily. And I thank God Almighty, even in teachings to the younger ones today, what we left is what they are teaching the younger ones to use and grow. And then there is also the sad side of it. When I was being persecuted, numerous officers will used to say, if you like, go and sweat like Mustafa. At the end of the day, they will kick you out and you will have nothing. No matter who you think you are brilliance, that will not allow you to grow. So the best thing to do is just relax and flow along and rise until you attain whatever you want to attain professionally and get whatever you can get and then step out of the service. To me, that is the service to Nigeria. You see, so our persecutors have brought a certain test that is unfortunate to professionalism in Nigeria.
That's fair. And you mentioned persons trying to evaluate you. I don't know if you are aware, there's a current or a standing challenge to all presidential candidates by a body called SERAP to declare their assets. What would be your response to that?
Excellent. I'll be the happiest to declare. I declared before, even without being asked. We have had it. We declared so many times even before that, and that is how it's supposed to be. A candidate who is not transparent in terms of his assets, then he is not fit to be. If I have anything to cover, then I'm a misfit. I shouldn't be a candidate. So I'll be the happiest to see. After all, part of our manifesto is asking for a clean bill, at the end of the day, findings or reports to say the budgets given to the country, and if you look at it in retrospect, it has performed well or not performed well. So in the next fiscal budget, you know what to do. So to us, we need to see the report of anything that is before us. And that is the way the book has dictated that we should do to any executive office in Nigeria. But unfortunately, many people are just doing what they are doing to suit personal interests. So many people believe once the past is past, and there is no need for you to go into looking at the past. To us, that is disservice also, because that has promoted corruption in high places. It also has promoted distortion it also has promoted dirty budget politics in Nigeria.
That's fair. And now, to go now into your plans, sector by sector, let's start with one of the major problems we have in Nigeria now, insecurity. After the Owo church attack in Ondo, where some bodies went in and shot at the persons there, some security experts are saying that Nigeria might be experiencing a new dimension of insecurity, in that different terror groups are now saying that Nigeria is fertile land, to run around, to run amok. And the predictions are that things might not be as it is currently. So what are your plans as it is now to tackle insecurity, and how it might be should you assume office come May 2023?
Thank you for this question. First of all, it is a disservice to a country to say that after 20 years, you never bother to sit down and review the doctrine governing the performance or the primary roles of all your security agencies. I don't know when last our doctrine was reviewed. I can't remember. Number one. Number two, ordinarily going by your question, to say that in Nigeria's internal security problems, Americans call it low-intensity conflict. In Nigeria's low-intensity conflict state, then definitely there is too much to be desired. One, from the little we have gathered lately, is that intelligence collection, intelligence dissemination actually working harder, and that is the most effective side of what we're hearing lately. But then the execution, the willingness to accept the intelligence and utilize it for and on behalf of the country's security and welfare, I think there is so much to be desired there. Now, to us, if God Almighty give us the opportunity to come on board, next year, May, God willing, Nigerians will experience some changes that are fundamental. Nigerians will also experience the introduction of other new bodies, new security setups in the sea and in the land and in the air, something new. And then Nigerians will also experience technological support, not only in security, but that will also support our economic development in the country. It will enhance our security, and then there will be total review of the performance of some of them. We have a package that is in-depth and divided into three. The first is identification of threats, and then the percentage or the enormity or the degree of that threat facing the country and for how long. Second is the scientific and then systematic approach in mending them. And the third, is the creation of the new ones, and then even the new ones plus the old ones. There is the issue of restrictions and demarcation of primary and secondary responsibilities of all of them, each one complementing the other. That is to say, in our scientific approach to it is to say that once one particular body becomes negligent to its own primary assignment, the role of the others will pinpoint at where the weakness is coming from or shall be coming from. God forbid we don't even envisage that. But what we know is, and then show off as a party, as a government, God willing, is to say that we have what we spent years working upon, and once it comes, it will be the pride of every Nigerian to say, I can now work free. I can now plan my businesses. I can now travel to any part of Nigeria I wish to. But then to get it done, we will do it according to the books, and then we will not spare nothing in getting it done. Because whosoever fails to secure his country, he is either a compromise, or he is lazy, or he is a liar, or a deceit. We are none of the four. We will do it, and we will do it.
Right. So from what you're saying, you will be drawing on your experience in the armed forces.
Experience is just a tiny little fraction. Knowledge. Even knowledge is a fraction. Research. Even the research as an individual is also a fraction. Now synergizing with international bodies and then agencies at home. Then looking at experiences elsewhere. Because what you are talking about today is the management of insurgency and the causes of insurgency on the other hand. So we're talking about known approaches to the principles of the management of national security as it is facing Nigeria today. And on the other hand, some other unconventional approaches that have to go concurrently in managing the situation. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. In your previous interviews, you mentioned that you'll be moving to Sambisa.
Yes, sure.
Should you win, and also security would be solved within 6 months.
In 6 months, we shall be in Zambeza, and I hope you will take our invitation and come and have breakfast with us. If you are scared, wear a helmet. See you there.
All right, that's
sure.
fine. But the issue now is, we have currently, the current administration is being headed by a former general.
Right.
And while he was coming in, he was campaigning on one of his key core promises was to end insecurity. Now, some persons wonder if a general, a veteran, a retired general has had about 7 years before him, we can go back to President Olusegun Obasanjo. Those things were not as dire in terms of insecurity. We've had these persons at the helm, and for years it hasn't been done. How likely is it to be done within 6 months?
Every government has a history. Its formation, personalities complementing it, and then the leadership at the top. Even also the leadership at the top has its own composition and the way it is restructured, or the way it is structured. The way you are structured and organized at the beginning, that is what will determine how effective orders will now descend down to layers below from the hierarchy. In this government, there are so many people who have sworn and taken responsibilities of providing leadership at different levels. Every Nigerian today comes up with his own evaluation and an assessment of their own performance. The president of the day, yes, a retired soldier, quite okay, but then what conformed the structure? If we are talking about security, who are you to blame today? Who are the national security managers of the country? I'm not the type that will give an evaluation of a government firsthand, but all I want is evaluate me, subject me to task. I will tell you what I can do, and I know I can get that done in 6 months. You see, if you treat security with the same spirit or with the same principles of managing politics and providing just managerial loads or leadership at whatever level, then that is a fundamental mistake. In security, you go by the books, and then you know no compromises of whatsoever. In politics, orders are there, but in most cases, it only floats around, and then it is only when you now continue to hammer on a particular point that it might probably descend. It's just like throwing a paper from a first-story building. The paper will continue to move and fly around and around before slowly it will get to the ground. That is how to manage politics. But security is a heavy stone. If I throw it and I know it will descend on a particular square, it will go to it from that distance. And that is how it is managed. And whosoever cannot conform with managing security from order one, then he is a misfit to be. If you trust him, and then he continue to bring failures to you, and then it begins to give people the latitude to say the leadership is weak, and it is those persons you're entrusted with. And to us, if my shadow tomorrow is entrusted to manage or to take care of a particular sector, my own shadow, and then if it cannot perform, then I am ready to do without a shadow.
All right, that's fair. Now let's talk about some aspects of insecurity that have devolved from something else. I'm talking about the calls for secession. We have in the East, we have the indigenous people of Biafra, a proscribed group now, and we were having a support, but it seems to have settled down now, the Yoruba nation and all that, people trying to, split, and then leading to militias being formed and all that. Is there any plan for political solutions? Take, for instance, how would you handle the case of the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, right now? How would you handle that?
All this revolves around one tiny thing: institutional decay. When the institutions in a country cannot perform, people get disappointed. When they lose hope, nothing goes. And when there is no hope in the led, then the leadership will begin to have a problem. The essence of any leadership is the provision of hope where confidence is lost, and then vice versa. So where these two bipod, major issues are questioned under any leadership, then the issue of agitation or separatists will begin to. Besides, Nigeria is a country so blessed that there are numerous forces outside Nigeria and some ill-informed senior Nigerians who are ready to take that as a responsibility and to continue to champion it from the money being paid to them. You know, what many Nigerians are not aware of is the fact that there is something called external hostile agencies. They are just there when they are ready and identify a particular country. They now know what to do in identifying the weaknesses in this country from classes of personalities that makes the country. They invest in and then they cash it in, and when it begins to work, they supply them with all that is required to continue to create problems that is identified properly as pure insurgency. The case of Boko Haram for Nigeria from November 1999 to date speaks on how they were created, why they were created. And there are numerous Nigerians, unfortunately, there are so many organs of government also that are not fully aware, as at today, based on our own research, to know why was Boko Haram created and how much exploitative activities were there that has taken place for these 22 years, some months now, 1999 to date. People are not aware. So they do not know why you have a terror group aimed at destroying your country, killing Muslims, killing Christians, destroying mosques, destroying churches, destroying schools, destroying young ones, fighting old people, and they have nobody they cannot attack out of the influence of the drugs they have been supplied with. But these are fellow brothers and sisters as Nigerians. So if you don't look at it from this perspective and know what they do when the terror activities continue to hit a particular region in a country or concurrently regions at a time, then there is something different. What they do is to exploit you from what God Almighty has given to you. So it's just like you carrying honey, and then once the fly identify, it will make sure it buzzes proper, and other flies will continue to follow you because you are carrying what they want. That is Nigeria. You have all the riches around. So the seasoned flies from outside and inside are busy trying to take the honey that makes Nigeria. That is the history, nothing more. So if God has given you resources and you do not sit down to plan for the protection of these resources, they will take it from you in whichever way possible. And that is what promotes insurgency around the whole world over. Well, for ours is refusal to identify it and refusal to build on the layers of protective arrangements meant for Nigeria before. Refusing to build on it and then neglecting it in itself are some of the problems facing Nigeria.
That's fair. Now let's move over to economy. I would lump two questions together. The issue of the debt profile. Now, any president who takes over from the current administration has to worry about how to repay or write off those debts or whatever. As at the first quarter of 2022, the revenue or the debt servicing has now surpassed revenue. It means we are not making enough to even pay our debts.
Correct.
How do you hope to fix this? And to add the second question, the issue of unemployment, especially amongst the youth, which also, in a way, adds to the earlier questions on insecurity. So how are you handling revenue issues, servicing debts, and also creating employment?
I don't know of other political parties and I don't know of other candidates. But to me, this is an issue I am, not that I'm happy Nigeria has found herself in this situation, but to us, managing this will be done with ease. We did it yesterday. When in 1993, General Abacha came to power, there was nothing left in Nigeria. Even foreign reserve was less than $200 million. But we started there from. As young men then, we knew the amount of creativity and innovations we came up with, including some certain bodies that were generating revenue at home, and then some certain modalities of creating wealth from outside Nigeria. So it was like school for us. I tell you one thing with all sense of humility. If God give us the issue of managing the debt we have taken and getting the institutions to manage it and curtail abuses and waste, yes, we are sure we'll do it. In the shortest time possible, I know what to do. There are 11 countries on earth who yesterday sat down and then determined part of their liabilities that was turned into wealth, and they came out of it. And these countries are among the topmost. In 1998, I got the experience of working with a particular reputable team together in knowing what to do with some of Nigeria's liabilities and Nigeria's waste in turning it into money. And I know how much that was to come. So if given the opportunity, we will bring it to the fore, and I know how much it will bring. It will address unemployment, it will settle our debts, it will give us support, it will direct us on what to do for us to come out of where we are. That singular gesture alone. Besides, there are numerous ways open in oil sector, in the trade, in dredging River Niger and River Benue. We are going to have resources that Nigerians do not know, that Nigerians cannot quantify. In today, having satellites over our head, minus what happened with whichever one we have heard, there are countries we have spoken to that you don't have to necessarily pay it because there is too much overhead in the world. There are agreements we are having with some people and some countries who are ready to help us not only from the insurgency point of it, but in support of movement of ships, activities of farmers, activities of fishermen, reporting on activities across our borders and our ports. By that alone, you will be able to contain those who are moving in hundreds of thousands as patriots coming to excavate things in Nigeria. Our borders are gateway to them. Some they come at the early hour, some come to spend days. They come to take precious stones and go back to our immediate neighbors with a special arrangement with the foreign countries that send them. Yet we have custom, we have immigration. One may say they are inadequate, correct? But then some of our findings have discovered that even where they man properly, this same of activities, the transit in and out takes place, and there is no record to show. So that is why we are not just talking. We are talking based on what we have discovered. So if we are settled with this responsibility, the debt management, unemployment for the younger ones, I would tell you, you'll be shocked. There are 10 million and 10 ways to do in getting our boys back to work. There is something called domestic dirty oil politics in Nigeria. The West is monumental. I'm talking of oil theft, and I'm talking of the people involved. I'm talking also of tax. If also we are to face tax collection properly, away from what we saw in the last 10 years, 11 years now, even before this government, what we saw are different things, and I will explain. There is something called actual tax collected. There is also something called tax collected, two different worlds. There is also something called tax remitted. There is another thing called actual tax remitted. Between these four is a huge wall on its own, where monumental waste of resources that can engage hundreds and hundreds of thousands of our younger ones, or millions, if you can accept. Millions will get employed, will get empowered, and have them there on tax alone. Besides, there are numerous other things to do. Agriculture, we have neglected it and thrown it overboard. And there are so many things we are doing that are unacceptable in our system. So the issue of having this number of the unemployed is simply because there is colossal waste. And let me tell you, you see a budget, a particular fiscal budget, and watch the performance of that fiscal budget from the point of view of what every ministries that were given allocations did, every parastatal in Nigeria. Now halfway, like now, this is from June, July, sit down and take a look at every ministry and every parastatal. That is a sorry sight. From what the budget as a law indicated and the performance of the budget from the point of view of these ministries, then you will understand the true meaning of waste in Nigeria. Here people are scavenging for how to survive alone. But in our ministries and parastatals, in an agreement with some contractors at home and abroad, in something called international dirty oil politics, every week, if you sit down and quantify what you are losing, then you should know that no institution is functioning in Nigeria, most unfortunate. So to us, there are numerous ways. I can add many more. Importation issues and then exportation. And the issue of also the bodies that are promoting insurgency in Nigeria. Arms movement, drugs routes, Nigeria serving as a transit, while there are also vendors for domestic consumption. The money in there alone aim at destroying our younger ones so that Nigeria cannot have the future, or the future where we can have dynamic leadership. And people are investing in it all because of the resources in your country. And also it doesn't take anything if you want to say, look, we have come to a point where management of our unemployed, since that is what the question is centered around, unemployed and debt management in Nigeria. If that is alone, you can take one particular issues that are the mainstay in the country, not agriculture, not oil, not gas. You can identify by the means of technological support today to say between zone A of a particular point to a grid reference C in another point, if you add it all together, I have quantity of B, C, D types of raw material, and I can hit the international market with it. Not the markets that people go where they are given far less than 5% of the real cost of what they take. The precious stones that goes to Asia today. No, I'm talking about government-to-government relationship as to the real cost of this, to have direct empowerment for our unemployed world and in servicing our debt. In Nigeria, we are fully endowed with this. Numerous people are busy squarely resting on whatever budget they have planned for that fiscal year, and they operate therefrom, and they see nothing else. Ours is wealth creation away from whatever budget comes from, at home and from outside into Nigeria.
But how will you fight those persons? You know, when your government comes in, do you think they would all be gone?
One, in Nigeria, once you make the institutions to work, then you are closing the doors for malpractices and abuses. And how to get that done is another scheme entirely. How do you do that? The laws of the land, the law enforcement, like the security, internal security we are talking about, introducing something new, that will tell you, and the issue of calling for accountability, and then intermittent falling back to the records, and then to the checkmating of the performance of the budget, and looking at the guilty ones intermittently, and where the law is made to work. You have shut the door for those who will abuse you and promote waste. It's the willpower to do it. It might not sound palatable in the eyes or in the ears of some certain people who are used to that, but to us, if it is leadership we have come to provide, then there is no room for compromise. Once we take oath of office and oath of allegiance, we stand by that, true and true.
All right. I just want to get your quick responses to two bits of news recently. The one about the Nigerian government spending about 1.4 billion naira to purchase vehicles for Niger Republic to help them fight insecurity. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And also, just earlier today, the news broke that there are suggestions that from some governors egging on the federal government to increase value-added tax from, it was increased from 5% to 7.5%. Now they are suggesting from 7.5% to 20%. And a lot of the comments we've seen over today is that people feel that the government keeps putting the burden of the economic crisis back on the people who are actually suffering. So what's your response to those two bits of news?
First of all, it is of concern to know that the state of security in your neighboring country or in your neighboring countries, it is also a primary concern to you. Second is for me to draw your attention back to ask you, why was Nigeria in Liberia? Why was Nigeria in Sierra Leone? If we sit down and put it on scale and see the magnitude of the fight or the causes of insurgency it will promote to you, because you may be the fallback position, being the one with the highest resources, being the one also that is bigger, and then being the one that is actually being the one targeted by the hostile agencies. It's actually Nigeria they are targeting at. So if Nigerian government sits and say, these aspects of security from your own side, with an in-depth agreement agreed and signed upon, so that BCD that is identified in a true depth appreciation. There is something called appreciation and modalities and arriving at that in knowing a threat and the magnitude of the threat and the effect of the threat. If it snowballs into you, you can take precautionary measures far ahead. If this is the yardstick with which Nigerian government is looking at Niger, and from the volume of what is coming our way, this is absolutely right. If it is from that point of view, because the book suggests so.
But there were SUVs being bought, so they seem like luxury cars.
I am not in government. They are in government. This is the yardstick of identifying the threat. If that is what they have done, it's another thing. I don't know what types of vehicles bought. Is it for commanders? Is it for who? I don't know. But if we were to be saddled with such a responsibility, I once gave an interview to say, if you are providing leadership to Nigeria and you fail to look at insurgency from all your neighboring countries, you are just wasting your time on one particular issue and then you cannot solve it. But when you go around all these countries and look at Nigeria from there, then you now know what you are doing. For example, if I'm able to see threats from where I am, that's just one aspect of it. I should go to those causing the problems to me and also see Nigeria from that perspective. This tells you how you are going to go about it and how you can handle it speedily.
All right, the second issue on VAT, proposed increase of VAT. How do you respond to that?
I just gave you an answer to say our innovations and creativity is to take us outside Nigeria and create wealth from outside Nigeria. It's also to tell you that from inside Nigeria, there are enormous waste and we can create resources therefrom with which to handle. To me, there is something here I would tell you that many people might not agree. Debt servicing, debt management, debt taking for and on behalf of citizenry in a country. The moment you see it from the point of view of an individual taking that debt to himself, and you see the payment or the servicing of that debt from the point of view of an individual, you are making a huge mistake. You know, in management of national liability, you have to make strength out of it. You should not see it as a liability. You should use it to also negotiate numerous other things that can take care of your internal problems. That's why there is the need to see what makes a budget, what makes a debt. Is it a liability or is it a blessing? There are some certain negotiations you can do with it because you have the debt with you, and that is workable. It's another sense entirely on debt management, and I think many people have not bothered to go deep into doing that. We know about that. There are countries today that are within the first G5 who are also taking debt and keeping it, and they use it to negotiate a lot of things in their management, including economy and security, and even social problems in their countries. Nigeria, we are seeing it as if it is an individual that has gone to take the debt. No, that's a big mistake. So debt shouldn't bother you to be rushing on how to pay it, but you are also not encouraged to quickly go and take it to yourself, creating burden that will narrow your mind into looking at national resource management. All you have to do is, if you have it, God forbid, there are ways to manage it. Even when you have the resources, there are some bargainings you can do that will bring some openings for your people. After all, if you are in government or if you are in providing leadership and you do not bother to invest in opportunities for your people, then you are looking at leadership from a narrow perspective.
All right. Right now, due to the lingering strike, there are more students than usual watching you this very moment.
Right.
What do you have for them? You know, when people now, when they consider sending their children to school, instead of, say, a 4-year or 5-year course, they can add 2 extra years for perceived strikes in the tertiary institutions. What's your plan to finance? Because this is an issue that has gone across governments, not just the current administration, the previous one, and the one before. We see these strikes. So what's your plan for helping students out so that during your term they would have education uninterrupted, and also your plan for basic and secondary education?
You see, when I'm going back to the first thing I said before, you sit down and allow your institutions to collapse. They have created all problems unto yourself as leaders. Your vision may not be as wide, as broad as it should be. That is in negligence and allowing institutions to be decayed in your country. Nothing works. But now that here we are where we are, if we are to continue in management of this issue, very disheartening, very disturbing to me, and then as it is enshrined in our own manifesto and that of our party, and then we also as seniors to our students, we find this very disheartening to say that our younger ones have to go through this in public education to be able to now seem to graduate and face their lives. This is very disturbing. First of all, I see one big mistake. If you are settled with leadership, negotiations for and on behalf of your children can take you to any level, but you should never allow negotiations to first be fractured because of personal ego, to be fractured because you don't want to be seen to be identified as weak, to be fractured because you do not want to be seen by your opponent to say he couldn't do it after all. What matters is, did you succeed in providing an uninterrupted education? At the end of the day, the answer is yes. Coming to negotiate not with pride, not with anger, not with hatred, not with ignominy. You now bring ASU. Teach them the danger of having breakages in our future leaders. They are human, they are ready. You can negotiate. Negotiations through discussions. That's why once you create a communication gap between any sector or between or among sectors in government, then there will be. Then every communicate, you know, in the past, communication gaps created numerous wars on earth. So the ministry is responsible with the bodies that provide the teaching of our younger ones are supposed to be in constant discussions with that ministry on behalf of the government, and on another hand, on behalf of the students. The students are the younger ones we must care for. And if there is any leadership that is toying with investing in the younger ones, then definitely it is an unacceptable thing. So if you have a minister or ministers in different parastatals or ministries who didn't care or who are not there and ready to negotiate and to carry and educate, because as you are negotiating with ASU, you should teach them the dangers of having breakages. And then if also their demand is unacceptable, there are some other bodies you can now join to further or to expand your discussions, so that far ahead of strikes, you have already proffered solutions and you continue therefrom. But where ego comes, where pride comes in, then there won't be leadership. And so many people can easily cash in there, including your opponents in politics. Depending on how dynamic the leadership of the day is, then you should be seen to be preferred for sabotages in some cases, where one side is pushed to fight the other. And particularly if you are not bothered to know and to identify the forces either pushing those in government or pushing the teachers or pushing the students, also creating sabotages from the point of view of contractors who are supplying institutions or supporting teachers, as the case may be. If you don't know and you don't put attention and maximize activities within here, and you cannot identify indicators of sabotage, also something is wrong in governance. That's why the fanfare in office is far different from putting selfless services to the country and to the institutions before you.
All right. What about the basic and secondary education?
All are the same. In fact, it's an investment for the country's future. If a leadership is not prepared to invest for the future of that country, then there is no need to provide such a leadership. It's a fundamental issue. Look at this today. One of the things that, to say we found very disturbing and very disheartening is to say that our curriculum at one point in time was looked at and some certain subjects were removed. And that has to do with our future. That has to do with our culture. That has to do with the type of people who are going to produce tomorrow. And then once you have a country that is ignorant of your history, ignorant of also history, for example, justice is removed today, isn't it? A country that is targeted to be destroyed shall have history removed from its curriculum. How many years today it has been removed? Our younger ones don't know our history. They don't know who they are. They don't know who we are. They don't know who we were. They don't know where we are heading to. History is removed. So also some other vital aspect that makes Africa Africa is not in their head, the younger ones. Who took it? Whose decision? At what particular point in time? Who is preparing to destroy Nigeria? Is the insurgency we are seeing as part of the blackmail of the sum total program of destroying Nigeria? The answer I can tell you is yes, because I was once a student of this. where hostile bodies are coming to destroy a community or a country. These are some of the steps they take. The question is, as at the time they took it, who was the Minister of Education? Who was the President of Nigeria? Why did they allow that to have been up till now? And how come they are busy pointing a accusing finger to someone else when they started it all? We will not allow that. If given the opportunity tomorrow, God Almighty give us the opportunity tomorrow, then definitely we will.
All right, that's fair. Now, on a controversial issue in which past different administrations have had a little bit of hiccups. Before President Buhari came in, I think one of his interviews, when he was asked about subsidy, he made mention of what is subsidy, you know, given the implication that he didn't really see what it was for. But now we've seen that he has pushed that decision to the next administration, possibly yours, whether it stays or whether it goes. Now, a lot of economic experts are on the side that it should go and that it will help the country and all that. So I'd like to know what your take is on it, and bearing in mind the consequences of removing it.
I tell you this with all sincerity. Attaining leadership in Nigeria, particularly at this point in time, when the wound in Nigeria's main fabric is deep, then providing leadership in Nigeria will require sacrifices, will require risk-taking, calculated risk-taking, will require synergy with forces at home and abroad that can make issues be delivered and fully homed. Now here, I tell you this as a Nigerian and with all sense of patriotism. I talk about domestic dirty oil politics in Nigeria, isn't it?
Yes.
Subsidy is one of it. You may ask yourself, when was subsidy created? By who? What makes the team that are making fat out of it? How many are there? How come they are thinking and taking initiative ahead of the country? 200 million people plus? How come we can't take decisions therefrom? How come there is promotion of oil theft even every day, minus the subsidy? There are another discoveries coming up now. At the end of the day, see today, your capacity has been reduced to what, 1.1 million barrels a day. But what is your approved quota? 2.1, I think. 2.1. But you can't produce, so you are losing 1 million away, and even out of it, you are hardly producing 1.1, plus the subsidy. How can you see your wealth? How can you see, and that's your mainstay, this is your economic mainstay? It doesn't make sense. So look at me carefully. We have an in-depth plan for this. The question you may ask yourself is, what is that dominant force that is promoting domestic dirty oil politics? Who are their associates outside Nigeria? How come a whole government meant for the people cannot? The question is, what makes that sector rotten? Another question is, what is the name of that institution or group of people that will tell you how much you are making from the oil sector every day in Nigeria? What are their names? Who are they? How come you are an OPEC country operating differently the whole world over? And how come the laws governing that sector in itself is reduced or rubbish thrown to the trash? How come that leadership is afraid to do what is right for the people? You have sworn to do it. How come you are afraid? The question now you may ask yourself is, should we go into taking census of those involved? That was one of the major tells of the unexpected in Nigeria. But the question is, are we the type that will compromise our oath of office? Are we hypocrites? Are we telling Nigerians lies and coming to do the other? There are systematic ways of doing things. And a country without law, without institutions, is a country that is gone. And ours, part of it is revival. The country will be revived for and on behalf of this generation and generations to come. You see, the guts to do what is right is a gift. I know we did it before. We were hated by some people. Partly took some of us away. We were to be dispensed to it. God refused it. So we believe we are with God, and we are honest and sincere And to us, looking at all OPEC countries, looking at the whole world, Nigeria with all these vast resources, it's a fundamental shame to our country and to our future. And to say that there are elders today who have refused to do what is right, but they came to exemplify what greed is all about. For me, of me, by me, to me. And everything is for them alone, and nothing to the country. Nothing for the future of the country. Nothing to do with our education. Nothing to do with our security. Nothing to do with plans for our future. Nothing to do with supportive of growth development measures for the country. Nothing to say that we are rebuilding Nigeria for the world to come here and invest. And with that, everybody can make all the money he wishes to. With the resources in Nigeria that we know about, there is no need for us to maximize greed from any person or persons or groups and their associates in destroying Nigeria as much as we have seen. So when we come, we pray the younger ones will open their minds and understand we are here for their good. We are here for their future. They will fight us, we know. They will refuse us, we know. They will call us names, we know. They will spend what they have because they are richer than government at the surface. But we know what is before us. We have a program for Nigeria, and then drawing from numerous sectors for and on behalf of the country, and nothing to do with ours. We will make the sacrifices, and God willing, we shall be recorded on the right side of history.
All right, that's fair. But to prod a little bit more, does that mean you would be removing subsidy?
That you will see. We are coming to rehabilitate. We are coming to correct. The moment I say institutions will stand, you exactly know where I'm heading to. There are things I will not talk now, but when 28 September kickstarts, all candidates will be crisscrossing as to who stand for what. That is another time, so I'm strategically holding raw talk on that, but I have spelled out our direction.
All right, that's fair. And now let's move over now. I think we've got a good handle on your policies, on your plans. To more political matters now. You're with the Action Alliance, not known to be one of the big fishes in the game. What's your plan to upstage the major parties? We have the APC, the ruling party, and the main opposition who have been in power before, the People's Democratic Party. What's your strategy for?
First of all, we sat down and took our mental assessment and appreciation of what each of these political parties were all about. We look at the time we came up with this, many people were only aspirants. So we sat down to say in big party A, should this aspirant emerge, what are the chances and how will it look like? And we continue to do it on numerous personalities. And at the end of the day, we are not wrong. We are right. And so if you look at the qualities and the character, whether it is reliable or dependable of candidate A on one hand, and then look at the society and see the pains in the people on the other hand, and look at the hopelessness in our population on another hand. And if you look at also the awareness and education and the preparedness for people to do otherwise on another, then you will get to know that this time around, the issues of having a smaller party or a bigger party doesn't arise. Put all this into perspective and take a look who will rise. Here is character, is integrity that matters, is the depth of your plan to build Nigeria out. We can hit our chest to say we spend many years doing quite a lot in having the documents we have, and it's not, we hate anything fiction. We are not into rhetorics. We go for realism. If it is workable, it is workable. If it is not workable, it is not to be contained in our documents. And so we thank God Almighty for our discoveries, our findings, and we thank God Almighty for those with whom we have worked from outside Nigeria and those who have worked in Nigeria. That's why we are able to know the monumental waste from our ministries and parastatals, looking at the domestic fiscal budget in Nigeria alone. So to us, just sit down and trust in us and know that we are not the type that comes to talk because we want to attain power. Then we are deceiving people. We tell lies. We converse for votes. And what we know, we lack the capacity to just get things done. But we come to convince people to do. What they do in most cases, the deceits, is to complement the little they say with money. knowing that people are fully pushed to the wall. They don't have the money. That's why in our own awareness, in the name of God, whosoever gives you money, take it. But there are qualities you should look at from all the parties and all the candidates. Open your eyes, think deep, consult around before you now arrive at the wrong persons that will further destroy this country. Because the greatest mistake we will do this time around is to hand over Nigeria to those who believe stealing is a routine, to those who believe destroying our institutions is a routine, to those who believe they are bigger than the laws of Nigeria, to those who believe they are bigger than institutions of law enforcement, to those who believe they have the backing of some foreign countries and they have all the money, all that it takes. Any person you see with some of these qualities, and on the other hand, any person you see with double passports or more of paying allegiance to other countries now coming to rule you, and you should know that you are destroying yourself. And you are to be blamed if you come shooting yourself on the foot. First of all, you may ask, before they came to power yesterday, who were they? How much have they had? Soon after power, what sort of personalities that they came up with out of power? And even since they left, what sort of investments do they have in Nigeria? And even all the major economic and social problems in Nigeria, how much investments do they have? The oil subsidy you are talking about belongs to a particular class. There are candidates who are deeply involved in destroying Nigeria every day. But why don't we see that? Where are the intellectuals to x-ray it and teach the younger ones and teach the general public the dangers of having such people, even encroaching into politics alone? For the mere fact that there are people who have invested in destroying Nigeria, in destroying or investing in the ills identified as the major obstacles in Nigeria's growth. The fact that such person or persons are even in a political party, it has just killed that party alone to a serious mandate society. How can you, even chimpanzee, you can't cheat chimpanzee twice. If you now lay a trap and deal with chimpanzee, you know forever chimpanzee will never fall back there again. Then how can such people will come? This is an election year. They tell you lies. They give you little peanuts. You vote for them. And then 2 days after, you come crying, holding your head. And another election will come. They tell you the same type of lies. They now give you peanuts. You are back again. Are we saying chimpanzee is thinking better than human beings? No, we can't accept that. So enough of deceit, enough of lies, enough of people destroying this country. And I'm saying this boldly for and on behalf of our younger ones, all the poor men and women in Nigeria, all across. That's why sometimes such people, you know what they do? They create literature in creating mutual suspicion between Muslims and Christians. They create mutual suspicion between regions. But you will never see them creating mutual suspicion within their business cycle. And within their business cycles, there are Muslims and Christians. There are Northerners, there are Southerners. But because it is their personal gains, that remains intact. But any other aspect of Nigeria, they know how to create friction. This one will hate this one will hate this one will suspect this one will suspect this. All for them to continue to milk and lead Nigeria in a very fraudulent manner. They take your wealth and they call you slaves. They take your wealth, they call you bad names. They take your wealth and call you animals. And I gave you an example with a chimpanzee. Check it and see what makes a chimpanzee.
All right, to end it now very quickly, we're almost out of time. You've kind of spoken about the major parties. What about others? You know, everyone is trying to get that third force, because we've had the APC, we've had the PDP. Now people are clamoring for a third person or a third party that, you know, is fresh to the scene. Now, what's your assessment of those in your own region? I'm not talking about the APC or the PDP now. What's your thoughts on the Labour Party's Peter Obi, the NNPP's Senator Kwankwaso, SDP and all that? Is there any hope of a coalition?
We're inching towards the 28th of September. The provisions of the new electoral law speaks for itself. Whichever party wishes to say we are weak here or weak there and we intend to take decisions A, B, C, D, they are on their own. Action Alliance as a party does not believe in making noise before the time. If you look carefully today, these political parties you talk about are already campaigning, and that is a capital offense. INEC is saying nothing to them, and that's unacceptable. And not because other parties are not watching, but why should you be campaigning every day? We are all waiting for the 28th of September, being obedient to the laws of the land is to obey the law and work with the law. If I'm reckless with the law, why should you entrust me with leadership? Why should you vote for me if you see me doing wrong things? Then it shows I'm a misfit, I'm disqualified. Why are they campaigning? The same INEC said so. Is INEC promoting them to be so? Are they better than the other parties? Do they think they are more rooted in the country than other parties? That is unacceptable. Any person, any candidate, and any party that you see even from the surface refuses to obey the law, then that is the recklessness and the unfounded, directionless a party or leadership that you are coming to have in future.
Right.
And so to us, Action Alliance, with us, we are on the same frequency. The same manifesto of the party is also the same manifesto we share with the in-depth researches that form our own manifesto in different layers for and on behalf of the country. So each party should be assessed on its own merit. Their conduct, if they have, their integrity, if they have, merit on respect of the law and rule of law, if they have, lies telling to the people, if they are honest and they have the integrity, or storytelling to be able to deceive the younger ones, follow some people whom they know. If the responsibility to provide leadership to Nigeria is that of carrying elephant, but so many people are talking of carrying Godzilla. And the question is, we know some of them, true to itself and sincerely, and not because of political differences. We know some of them cannot carry a goat on their shoulder.
All right, Major Mustafa, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.